And he got really upset, and I said, you start again.
When we were in Panama last year, Michelle and Kimani had a little bit of an argument when I went to handle something. We were in one of the San Blas Islands, and when I came back, the two of them were arguing, and they both wanted to tell me their story. And Kimani said to me, I didn't, Michelle, I wasn't as mean to Michelle as the mean Pharaoh was to the Jewish people. She might have even bit Michelle on her booty. I don't remember. It's not beyond belief. But Kimani knew that the Pharaoh was very mean to the Jewish people, and he had 10 chances to let them go free. And every time he lied. And he said, I will let your people go. But he didn't. So Moses, who was God's agent, was trying to help get the Jewish people free. And Moses would make sure that when the Pharaoh lied, that something would happen and the Pharaoh would get upset. First there was Dam. He turned the river Nile into blood. The river Nile was in Egypt. It's the main river that runs through Moses. No, Moses was the good one.
Remember how you do this?
Moses was the oldest. No, he was the youngest son, and he was born. When he was born, the Pharaoh wanted to kill all the Jewish people. There were many Jews who lived in Egypt at that time. They had left Israel. Okay. And Moses was born, and his mama, the Pharaoh wanted to kill all the Jewish boys, but he didn't want any Jewish men. And so the mama put Moses in a basket and floated Moses down the river so that the Pharaoh's daughter would find this beautiful, beautiful baby and take him home and let him live so the Pharaoh couldn't kill him. And Moses grew up to be a special person. He had a special mission in his life. His life was to help get the Jewish people out of Egypt from being slaves, being servientes, back to Israel, which was their home, their country, where Abraham, their father, and the Jewish religion started. So when Moses went to the Pharaoh and said, my people are unhappy here. I am a Jewish person. I need to get home and I need to take them. Please let them go. And the Pharaoh said, no, you must leave my castle. You must leave my kingdom. And Moses said, I cannot leave unless I take all the Jewish people with me. And the Pharaoh said, well, they cannot go. So Moses turned the river into blood. And there was no water. There was no pure water for the Egyptian people to cook their food, to clean their homes. Everyone was getting sick. And the Pharaoh called Moses back and said, I will let your people go. And Moses said, okay. And he turned the river back to water. And when that happened, the Pharaoh wouldn't let the people go. So Moses said, please, you said you'd let them go, for God's sake. Then there were frogs, Svadea. He made a plague. There was frogs all over the land, and they were eating up the crops, and they were jumping on the people. They were making the people sick. And after that, the Pharaoh said, I will let the people go to stop the frogs. Moses stopped the frogs, but the Pharaoh didn't let them go again. So after frogs, Kinim. Sí, aquí, gracias. Este es el 13, ¿sí? Sangre, ranas, rajas. It was like you have in school, some of the kids have bugs in their hair, right? Moses made bugs in all the people's hair. And then the Pharaoh said, stop the bugs, I will let the people go. Moses said, okay, no more bugs. Same thing happened, Pharaoh wouldn't let them go. No recuerdo, ¿qué? Vamos a ver aquí. Oh, I don't know. Locusts. There were bugs that were killing all the cattle and the animals, so there was no meat to eat, there were no chickens, there were no eggs, there was no milk. And the same thing happened. Pharaoh wouldn't let them go. Well, it went on and on. There was 10 different, it happened 9 times. There was all terrible things that happened. And the 10th thing that happened was that Moses had the oldest son of every Egyptian household was killed. They would just die, mysterious death. Nobody knew why they were dying.
Who died?
The oldest boy in every household. The oldest son. El hijo más mayor. And the Jews, when the angel of death came to make the oldest boy sick, the Jews put a sign on their door with the blood of the lamb So that the angel of death
matan el cordero, tienen
that
que
to
poner
remember.
en las
All these things
puertas
on the plate are to
también.
remember the different things that happened. And the lamb, the Jews put the blood so that the angel of death would know this is a Jewish house and not to have the oldest boy get sick and die. So the Pharaoh's son was sick. The Pharaoh was so
But how he let the people go?
Okay, the Pharaoh's son was sick and he was so frightened. He said, Moses, let my people, please make this go away and I will let your people go. And Moses said, okay, but this time he told all the Jewish people to be ready. And all day long they packed their things and they prepared food because they couldn't just go to a store then. They were going to cross a big desert. There was nothing there. They had to take lots of water and animals, everything they owned because they were never coming back. They made dough for bread. But they didn't have enough time to let the dough rise. Usually the yeast in the dough makes the dough get big and we have nice bread. The bread came out like galletas, like a cracker. Right? Like the crackers that were like thin galletas. But they carried it on their back. And there wasn't time for it to get big and fluffy. And that's why we eat matzah. Bread it's not bread, right? It's thin. Because they didn't have time to get thin. But Moses told them all, be ready with the bread, be ready with everything. And when they ran quick. And there was a big sea, the Red Sea. The Red Sea is like this is the Pacific Ocean, right?
And it's red.
Yeah, well, it's not red, it's just called the Red Sea. Pacific, what does Pacifico mean? Tranquil. It's not tranquil, there's big olas, right? So it was just called the Red Sea, but it wasn't really that. That was the name of it. El Mar Roja. Well, they were all waiting by the Red Sea, and Moses hit the sea, and the water opened up. Just like if we hit it here, there was a big path. What's it called? A highway across the sea. And everyone started walking through. They were walking real quickly because then the pharaohs, when Moses made the sickness go away and all the sons got better, the pharaoh said, I will not let those people go because they're my slaves. We will stop them. And him and all his army ran after them. And they ran to the Red Sea where Moses was crossing. But Moses and everyone was ready and they were running across with all the animals. And as soon as the Jewish people were in the middle, closed the water. So that it closed on the Pharaoh's men, they couldn't follow them. And they were able to escape to the other side. But now they had a very long way to go. 40 años. They had to find their way all the way across the desert to get to Israel, to Egypt. They walked around for a long time and it was very hard. They slept in tents, which is why we have the holiday Sukkot to remember. And Moses went up on the mountain and talked to God, and God gave him the 10 Commandments, which say, the very first commandment is honor your mother and father. Never be rude to your noon.
No.
No, that's the truth. Verdad, palabra, word up. I swear to God. Es cierto. That's the very first thing God said. Yeah, you can't kill, you can't steal, but the very first thing he said is honor your mother and father. Which means don't whine. And that's why we remember all these things when we have Passover.